Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hello, Fearless Freedom family. This is Dr. G with you today, and we are going to be talking with Dr. D. Hello. She's going to tell you all about herself. Dr. D, you want to tell them who you are and what you are about?
Hey, Dr. G. So nice to be on here. Thanks so much for having me. I am the Frugal Physician at thefrugalphysician.com, and I am a mother, a wife, and a primary care doctor trained in internal medicine. So what I do on my website is I talk about personal finance, how it relates to physicians, and specifically debt payoff. I was a typical physician initially when I graduated residency. I inflated my lifestyle way too quickly and found myself deep in debt and unhappy. And I decided to turn that around and decided to start writing about it.
Awesome. That's a pain point that a lot of us can relate to, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Right. Student debt is such a huge problem these days.
And so was there like a moment that made you start the blog, or what was it that got you going with this, with your movement, with your sharing of this knowledge?
So there was this one moment when I realized, like 6 months into our debt repayment journey, I realized we'd paid off $100,000 after 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And I looked at my husband, I was like, wow, what? How did that happen? And I was like, okay, well then I kind of sat down and started looking at it, and I was like, wow, okay. And I realized that we had discovered something important in that, in the last 6 months. And I thought, well, maybe I'm going to write something about it. And so I wrote something about it, and then I was like, well, what do I do with this?
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll start a blog. And so that's how that happened.
Oh, awesome. So did you guys just sit down one day and just looked at everything and just said, we have to do something differently? Like, there had to be that moment where you had an epiphany to even get you started thinking about how you're going to repay these.
Yeah, absolutely. I had always, I'd read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I kind of had that passive income mentality, but I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to go about doing it. And I was sitting one day, actually I was on maternity leave with my second child, and I was sitting and I was sewing a cover to a couch.
Okay.
Because, which by the way is
so wait, you are frugal, you are crafty as well. Holy smokes.
Only by necessity. So yeah, I totally just YouTubed how to sew a cover to a couch, and
okay.
It was totally DIY. And the whole reason was, like, I didn't want to spend the money to buy a new couch, but I wanted a nice space for my kids to play in the downstairs basement area. So anyway, I was sewing this stupid cover my entire maternity leave. And I realized, it was terrible. And I was like, I realized I'm missing my entire maternity leave with my baby, and I'm not getting to actually spend time with him because I couldn't have him downstairs where I was sewing with all the needles and all the dangerous stuff.
Yes.
Right. So that was the pain point for me. That was the turning point for me, because I was sitting there and actually I was listening to James Dolly's White Coat Investor book.
White Coat Investor.
Yeah.
I know. Podcast and blog.
Yeah, exactly. And I downloaded his book on Audible, and I was listening to that, and I was like, oh, I messed up. I realized I'd messed up a lot. Yeah.
Oh, good. You know what? There's always a pathway out, no matter what kind of situation. So I'm glad you found it,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
did you end up just taking some of the principles that Jim put forward, or was it principles from Rich Dad Poor Dad? Like, what was it that you did? Because I mean, $100,000 is pretty amazing for 6 months. So you had to have made some radical changes in your lifestyle.
Yeah, we made some really radical changes. So the first thing we did after that realization when I was sewing was I went upstairs and I talked to my husband and we sat down and actually just made a list of all the stuff we owe and all the money that we make and how we're gonna get out of the hole.
Got it.
So that was number one. And then we realized, we're really overstretched. We decided that we had upgraded our lifestyle too fast. James Dolly always says, Dr. Dolly always says, live like a resident. And I realized we had just gotten straight to attending,
Gotcha.
And so we're like, we were gonna move at that point. My contract was about to end. And I said, why don't we both decided to actually downgrade our lifestyle back to a resident.
Okay.
Which was difficult, which was definitely
Yes,
a
of
fear.
course. It's like when you taste, caviar, going
Right.
back to like something else is not the same.
No. And we were going to move up to upstate New York where it's super cold, which was a huge fear of mine.
Oh, we're in upstate New York. We're in upstate
Albany?
Albany. I went to school at Rensselaer, which is in Troy, New York.
No.
Literally right next door.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Very cool. Yeah. So the area, it's like cold and
Yeah, it's
dreary.
cold. There's no doubt. There is no doubt about it. I have love for my Albany people and my Troy people, but it is cold.
Yes. But you know what? It is actually a wonderful place to have a family. But yeah, it was, at that point I was living on an island off the coast of Georgia and it was real nice and warm and I was running on the beach every morning and,
Okay.
like it was nice. And so
For
anyway,
you, geographic arbitrage was a huge sacrifice.
huge. Yeah. Well, also
Wow.
happy husband, happy life.
That's right. That's right. There is so much truth to that. Oh my.
Right. Yeah, he loves it when I say that. But so anyway, yeah, we decided to downgrade our lifestyle, and that was it was a big pain. It was definitely a fear point. But once we got over that initial fear of like looking at rentals and looking at a smaller house, not buying, not living to the style that we were used to, it was initially very difficult to do that. But once we actually did it and moved in, it was not that bad. Yeah, it really wasn't. I mean, you move in, and yes, a lot of the stuff goes in the attic and storage,
Yes.
But we were able to rent a house that was right next to the place I was working, so I could walk to work.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was small, but it was enough for our needs. And so we said, hey, let's do this. And we decided to stay there for a little bit. And my husband went back to work. And so that was the biggest thing, was actually I was a primary earner when we were down south. And then when we moved up here, he went back to work. And I refinanced the loans that I had.
Okay.
And so that's kind of when our clock started. In January of 2018, he went back, and I basically took my whole salary and just threw it at the loans.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So here's a burning question, which I know a lot of people who are listening have. Now, are you guys a 2-physician family, or
Yeah.
You are? Okay.
No, I'm sorry. No, that's definitely a good question. He's not a physician. He's actually a project manager or program manager. Excuse me.
Okay. Cool.
IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool then. I mean, so that you're able to maneuver, utilizing his salary for you guys' everyday activities, and then everything that you're earning is going towards the debt. Nice.
Right. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was, definitely, like just all of it, really, that and more, because we actually have a rental property, and so we have income coming from that, and that goes straight towards the loans too. So we're just throwing everything at it, bonuses, tax return, and then there was like I changed jobs actually, and the starting bonus from that went to the loans. So anyway, we're just
Okay.
throwing money at these things and just getting
No, that's awesome. That is awesome. And then
yes.
so if you were to give a status, so this is now we're now literally like 1 year into it, right? I mean, because you said
Yeah,
right around January. So
exactly.
so where are you now as far as getting towards complete repayment?
So this actually tomorrow we'll hit $150,000 of principal.
Awesome! Whoop,
Yeah,
whoop,
whoop, whoop. I
whoop,
know. I'm so
whoop.
excited.
That's party worthy for
Oh my
real.
God. Yeah, 150K in 12 months. I'm pretty proud of
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
that.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Because the thing about that is that, you talk about, like on this show, we talk about fearless freedom. And what you're working towards is a different kind of freedom. You're working literally towards financial freedom, right? Because,
Right.
you will no longer have the burden or this looming presence of this debt that is, I mean, rightfully so, taken out to improve your quality of life, your ability to have, um, a sustained career, etc. But still, it's not inconsequential. It's like that's the kind of money that we take out to go to medical school is literally a very, very, very nice house in many parts of the country.
Yeah.
so,
It's so true. I
so
mean, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, when you take a long time to pay it off, the amount of interest that you're paying is ludicrous. I mean,
oh yes, oh yes.
it's insane. I mean, the first in 2017, when we did our taxes, I realized we paid $32,000 only in interest.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, oh yeah.
that's how much student loan interest I claimed that year. It's insane. And I realized as I was going through my loans, I had been paying on my loans for about 5 years prior to
Okay,
hunkering down like this.
okay.
And in that 5 years, I was making regular payments. But when I refinanced it last January, most of the loans that I had taken out barely lower than the principal that I started off with. In
Oh
fact,
yeah.
some of them hadn't even gotten back down to my original loan amount. Like, I
Wow.
had just been paying interest for 5 years. It's
Mind blowing.
disgusting.
It's
Yeah,
mind
it
blowing.
really is.
And then so I'm a lot older than you are. And I mean, I'm just gathering that because you said that you've been it's been 5 years since residency.
Yeah.
And so back in my day, I definitely had the I guess it was a situation where you could literally consolidate all of your loans and
Mhm.
get it at 3%.
Oh, that's nice.
So for me, paying them off like that is not really as an urgency, right?
Right.
Because number one, I thankfully did not have a lot of them because I went to a state school and the pricing was very moderate to
Yeah.
low, I would say.
Mhm.
But I mean, I talk to residents now, and they're like, because I have the honor of teaching residents pretty much every night that I work.
Oh, wonderful.
And, I talk to them as they're coming through and, the numbers that they're telling me, like we've had a couples, two of them are both EM and, they're telling me, oh yeah, they each have 300. I'm like, what? You each have 300? Like, are you kidding me
Yeah,
right now? Like,
totally
how
normal.
can you ever dig out of that?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I just don't know how. But yeah, no, I am definitely very encouraged that you are just like hitting it head on and just making a difference. Like, you're like making it such that you're not gonna be a slave to the craft. And I talk about that because I went through burnout, and so obviously I think about all of these things that can contribute to your burnout, and
Mhm.
you can feel trapped in your job if you find that there's a point in your career where you feel like you're not getting the satisfaction that you like and you
Right.
can't go anywhere because you have these loans to pay back, and
Yep.
what you've created is not only that financial freedom of having that thing off your back, but you also have that freedom of choice now, right?
Right.
So if I'm not saying this is going to happen to you, but if it were to ever happen to you, now you don't have to worry about, oh my, I have to definitely go in and do this because I have this loan payment to make, because you don't have
Absolutely.
You won't have to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh
So, no,
my God.
that's awesome. You know, that's like that's the ultimate right there. You know.
Right. Right.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's that like feeling of being stuck that gets to me the most. The not having the freedom part. I know I'm a free bird, and when I don't have that, I get incredibly unhappy. And so I need that. I need that choice. And as long as I have the choice, I think I'll keep on coming back to medicine. That's not going to be an issue.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how you look at a situation differently when you have the choice of being able to just walk away if you wanted to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that makes you actually love it more, because now you're not doing it because you have to. You're doing it because you want to. And
Right.
that's a whole different plane of living.
Exactly. Actually, I did walk away from medicine when I was in halfway through medical school. I took a year off.
Okay.
I did, and I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if medicine was going to be for me, but took a year off, and I went down to Southern California and taught for a year, which was
Oh.
pretty scary.
Okay, so now you got to talk about that. See, that was scary. Now you say that was scary.
Right.
You took a break from the thing that you were on the trajectory to complete. So
Right.
you got to talk about that now. What happened? How did that happen?
Yeah. So I was feeling burned out, honestly, and I wasn't sure if the first 2 years of medicine are all just hunkering down and studying and facts and I just needed to take some time to make sure it was the right thing for me. And so I took it was Serendipity. I used to teach for Kaplan when I was in college, and my old boss called me, and he was a friend of mine, and he was saying that he needed a teacher out in San Diego full time. And so I said, hey, actually, I think this might work out.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took that job and I went out there for a year, and I didn't know anybody. I loaded all my belongings up in my little Honda, in my little Corolla,
Nice.
Toyota Corolla, and drove across the country with my dog and my sister. And
story. That's an awesome story right there. And so basically, you stepped out, you stepped out into the unknown, and you faced your fear.
It was crazy.
You
Yeah.
faced a huge fear there. Because you
Completely.
went to a place where you knew no one, and all you had was your dog.
Yeah, all I had was my dog, and he is quite a dog, but it was awesome. It was awesome because I didn't know anybody except for my boss, and I had such amazing experiences and learned so much about myself. And when I was out there, I had these there were people coming up to me hearing that I was a med student, and they would ask me questions about their health. And I was a second-year med student.
Just I don't know anything. Stop asking me.
Just enough to be dangerous.
Pretty much.
And I realized, hey, I really want to know stuff to help these people. And all of that just rekindled for me, the desire to have the privilege to know the stuff that doctors know to help people. And it was really really affirmative. And I was teaching pre-med students, and they were inspiring me to keep going. And sure enough, I came back and I finished.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was super cool.
You stepped out on fear, you faced it, and you had an amazing breakthrough as a result, which was you realizing how much you wanted to help people and do the thing that you had set out to do originally. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
My daughter's clapping.
I love her. She's amazing.
Oh my gosh. She's like doing the audience can't see this, but she's like doing all kinds of antics here as we're recording. So it's just
how great is this for her to see you doing this, right?
Oh my goodness. Awesome. All right. So let's think about that. So basically you talked a lot about that fear. So, several fears, going into the unknown on 2 occasions. Once when you were taking that hiatus from medical school, and the second time when you moved, basically did the geographic arbitrage. And so is there a lesson that you feel that the audience can learn from those experiences that you had? Like, is there something you'd like to share as far as a lesson?
Yeah, I definitely think that true growth as a human being comes from stepping out of your comfort zone and leaning in to what feels really uncomfortable, because that's where the growth point is. That's where you're going to find the next level. So I totally, a lot of the times things happen, but it's, you think about the end result that you want and where your heart is leading you. And if you follow it and you kind of, even if it's making you uncomfortable, seek out that pain point, there's a lot to be learned there.
Absolutely. Wise words. Very wise. Yeah. It's funny because we tend as humans to not want to push ourselves like that.
Right.
Because it's not comfortable. And so it's just like, oh no, I'm going to stay right here where it's nice and comfy and I don't have to push myself. But then like you said, when you do it, you're like, wow, why did I not do that sooner? Because now I feel like 10 times better than I was before.
Right. And, and not to say there's anything, just you can sit and be in the comfort of your home and go along with whatever's comfortable, but realize that, maybe you won't find your full potential that way.
Absolutely.
And it's okay, but it's okay not to. But if you're like me, that's like constantly seeking to improve, then fear is where you want to head. That's what you want to take on.
Nice. Go for it. Like, go for it.
Exactly.
I love it. This is great. It's like you came on a podcast about fear or something. I don't know.
Right? I know. I was like, I got to talk to this girl.
Oh my God. That is too funny. So here, this has been such a great conversation. But then now this is the part of the show where we kind of wrap things up and we do our famous fill in the blank. And so they're going to be 3 sentences and I would love for you to tell me how you would finish them. And so the first one is, to me, fearless freedom means.
So yes, to me, fearless freedom means actively pursuing fears and overcoming them to accomplish growth.
Awesome. The next one is, if I am fearless, I will.
If I'm fearless, if I've conquered all my fears, I think I will have reached my full potential.
Love it.
I'm not there. I'm not there yet, though. There are many more fears to come.
Okay. That's awesome. No, that works. And then the last one is, my battle cry is.
My battle cry is persistence. I keep going and hitting my head against walls until I get where I want to be.
No, that's great.
My battle cry.
That's great. Persistence. I love it. Love it. Well, Dr. D, I am so happy that we were able to connect and put the time in our calendars where we could have this chat. And I know that the audience is going to benefit from it greatly because you shared some really cool pearls, and just your experience has been very enlightening and encouraging. So thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Dr. G. It's been so fun. And come check me out at frugalphysician.com.
I certainly will.
All right. All right.
Have a good time. Thank you for joining us today on this journey. Fear is all around us. It strives to stop us from achieving our greatness. We have the tools to be overcomers. By sharing our stories, supporting each other, and doing self-reflection, we can do this. If you found value in this conversation today, please be sure to subscribe to and share this podcast with your friends. By going to your favorite podcast platform, leaving a review and a 5-star rating, you will help to get the word out about it. And that is much appreciated. Thanks again for spending time with us. I appreciate your time and your attention. It is my hope that you will punch fear in the face today and that you will be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.